There's a tendency of speaking bad things about Africa. Whenever people talk about Africa, it should be associated with poverty, it should be associated with bad roads, it should be associated with bad governance, it should be associated with orphans and bad people, bad looking children. It should be associated with things like that. And I think this is what makes them money. This is what makes them get views for those ones that are blogging. This is what makes them get readers and followers for those ones that are on the internet. And this is what puts them in a position that they claim to be in. But personally, I think Africa is much better than what they think it is. Africa is much better than what the world shows, than what these people show to the world. So today in this video, we are going to look at all the 54 African countries. Okay, Africa is a home to 56 nations, but the most recognized are 54 nations. But we are going to look at them from A to Z. So in this video today, I'm going to show you how rich Africa is and how much Africa is rich compared to Europe, compared to America, to Asia, and all those countries in those continents. So thank you for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel, share with your friends, and call everyone here. Make sure you go with me to the end because I know you're going to like this. Okay, so we are going to start with what has brought us today here, and what I want us to do is to go through all the African countries from A to Z. Okay, Africa has a lot of countries. Africa is so big than what they show people outside there. Most of you, when you talk about Africa, you're not actually showed what you are supposed to do. What they show you is not what Africa is. There is so much that you should have known about Africa, but because the world chose to show you what they really want you to see and what they really want you to know, or even some African people, some people that are in Africa, you don't know so many things about other African countries. So in this video today, I'm going to take reference from one of the African websites. It's called southafricainfo.com, and that's what we are going to do. We are going to be looking at Africa from A to Z. Mostly we are going to be looking at these countries' economies, like how their economy is and how everything is moving in these countries. So most African countries are rich in minerals. They're rich in oil. They're rich in a lot of things. So today I want us to look at those countries. We are going to be looking at these countries from Algeria to the last country, which is Zimbabwe. So we shall be looking at all those countries. I'm not in the list. I'm not just giving you countries from the best to the worst. No, I'm giving you in the alphabetical order from A to Z. So that's what we are going to be looking at right now. Let us see how much Africa is rich, how much richness Africa has, how much Africa exports to the rest of the world, how much Africa contributes to the economy of other countries and everything. So that's what I want us to look at right now. So with no further ado, let's look at the first country, which is Algeria. Now, Algeria is also another country in Africa and is located in North Africa. But I'm not going to be looking at a lot of things about Algeria. What we are going to be looking at is the economy. So we are going to come here and see how much, like the major exports of Algeria. By 2015, Algeria was exporting 42% gas from its, one of the exports that it was exporting so much was petroleum gas, and it was 40%, and crude oil 33%, and refined petroleum 19%. We are talking about an African country. We are not talking about Russia. We are not talking about Saudi Arabia. We are talking about Africa. They are rich in oil. The country is called Algeria. They export petroleum gas, crude oil or crude petroleum, and refined petroleum, okay? So I'm showing you how much Africa is rich and how African countries are rich. So I told you I'm not going to be looking at a lot of things about these countries, but we are going to be looking at the economic part of these countries. There's so much false information on Google. Whenever people are telling you about these countries, they give you so much bad information, because of course that's what sells. That's what they want you to know about Africa. They don't want you to know all these good things about the continent. So let's go to the second country, Angola. This is one of the most popular country in Asia. Most of the people that I've met in Asia, they always ask you from Angola, Congo, or Nigeria. They know those three countries. In Vietnam, in Thailand, in China, every person you meet, they'll ask you, at least if they don't ask you where are you from, they'll ask you, are you from Angola? Are you from Nigeria? Are you from DRC? Because they know Angola for the wars and for a lot of Asians that go to Angola to do some stuff there. And Nigeria, of course, is one of the most popular countries in Africa. So let us look at Angola's economy. What is their major export? Okay, Angola exports crude petroleum, and that's 91%. Let me tell you something. The things that we are talking about, like we are talking about petroleum. Look at the country that is so rich in petroleum. And a lot of people always tell you how poor these countries are, how poor Africa is, how Africa is poverty infiltrated. Now we are looking at a country that exports crude oil and it exports diamonds. Okay, let us first leave the seafood here. Let us look at the things. We are looking at Angola. A lot of people come here and tell you Angola is so poor, or poor country and what. Now, if you know how much diamond is valued for, if you know how much petroleum is valued for, this country exports 91% of its exports is crude petroleum. And 4.9, almost 5% of its exports by 2015 was diamond. So right now it could be even around 6 or 7 or something like that. So look at a country like Angola. Okay, so let's go to the next country, Benin. Now this is also another country. I remember when I talk about Benin, I'll big up to Angelique Kidjo for winning the Grammy Award this very year, 2022. So we are looking at Benin's major economy. Look here. What does Benin export so much? Benin looks at raw cotton. Benin exports raw cotton. It exports cashew nuts at 21%, and it also exports refined petroleum. Africa is rich. Now, of the three countries that I've talked about, you see that all of them have petroleum. All of them have gas. They have natural gas. So look at how rich these countries are, but you're not going to find these things in mainstream media. You're not going to find these things in a lot of media outlets out there. They always tell you how poor Africa is. They always try to show you the poverty infiltrated places. They always try to show you the kids on the streets. They'll try to show you all the bad places of Africa, and they won't bring you things like this. Look at Benin. Benin's economy. This is where we are. Look here. Benin exports cotton, raw cotton that is not manufactured yet, cashew nuts, and exports refined petroleum. Petroleum that has already been refined, not crude oil. Okay, so let's go to Botswana. Botswana is also another African country. Now, let us look at the economy. Now, when we look at Botswana right now and their major exports by 2016, they used to export unworked diamonds at 82%. Look at the countries like these ones. 82% export of the country's 82% of the country's export is diamonds. Diamonds, that is, of course, unworked diamonds, but diamonds, exporting diamonds, okay? And then worked diamonds at 5.5, and then nickel mates at 3.2%. But let's first look at here, diamonds. What we can call the unmanufactured diamonds, or diamonds that is raw, just from getting it down, getting the mineral from underground, and then exporting it or selling it out at 82%. And then worked diamonds, that one that has already been refined and everything is fine and it's just good to be sold on the market, it's 5.5%. We're talking about diamond, and this is Botswana, one of the African countries. Okay, now let's go to the next one. We are looking, for you that has just come here, we are reviewing all the African continents, and I'm showing you how rich Africa is as compared to all other continents and other countries in all those continents. Africa has some of the richest countries with minerals, natural resources, oil, gas, petroleum, and a lot of minerals like diamond, like gold, and all other things. So that's what we are looking at today. So if you just joined us, please be sure to like this video, comment down below, and please remember to subscribe to my YouTube video so that you cannot miss any videos that I upload almost every day. Now let's look at Burkina Faso quickly. Now this is also another African country, and we're going to look at its major export right now. What is a major export for Burkina Faso? Because I told you we are not just going to be looking at the countries, their GDP, their what, because there are some things that they will tell you, and these things really don't happen, okay? These things are not doing what? They're not happening. So I want us to look at the things that are really factual, okay? And we are looking at Africa as compared to other world nations. So what is Burkina Faso's major export? Okay, I think I'll have to look it out here. I have to look it out here. Burkina Faso's major export. Let us look at Burkina Faso's major exports and see. Okay, so Burkina Faso exports gold at 70%. This is Africa for you. Burkina Faso exports gold at 70% of its total exports. It exports cotton and it exports zinc. It exports phosphate rock and livestock, of course, livestock. But let us first look at here. They export gold at 70% of their exports. We are looking at an African country. We are not looking at a country in Asia, please. We are not looking at a country in South or North America. It's not in Europe. It's in Africa, 70%. Okay, now let's go to the next country, which is Burundi. Yes? Yes, okay. Burundi, Bujumbura's is our main stuff. So the major exports of Burundi is coffee, tea, and gold. Look here. If you have watched this video from the beginning, you will know that almost all the countries that I'm reviewing here have natural resources. They have underground riches. Like these people have gold. I've just talked about Burkina Faso. They have gold. All these countries. And these are the things that we always talk to you and tell you, that there are some people in Africa that don't even want the war to end, that they take this gold, they take all these natural resources for themselves, and they come to you and tell you how Africa is poor, how Africa needs your help, how this is this and that. But just imagine countries that are sitting on gold, countries that have more potential to develop than any other countries, okay? But whenever the news comes out, they always want to show you how poor these countries are. let's look at Cape Verde. So when we look at Cape Verde, what is the major export? The major export by 2015 was frozen fish, processed fish, and refined petroleum. Okay, frozen fish, of course, exported processed fish and refined petroleum. Okay, now let's go to the next one, Cameroon. This one is also one of the most undermined countries in Africa. Okay, let's see. The major export of Cameroon by 2015 was crude oil. Any country that exports crude oil, if you didn't know this, let me explain to you this. Any country that exports crude oil, it has that oil in plenty. By the time you export crude oil, it means you have the natural oil in your country. Because if I don't have the oil, I can build a manufacturing plant and then buy oil outside and import it in my country to refine it. But I can't buy crude oil again to sell crude oil because the person that I'm buying crude oil from is selling to all the people that are buying crude oil. So there is no profit that I will make from it. I'll be losing. So I only buy crude oil to refine. So if somebody is exporting crude oil, that person is rich in oil. It's not, there is no argument about that. If somebody is exporting crude oil, that somebody is rich in oil. If the country is exporting crude oil, the country is rich in oil. So right now, we are looking at a country that is exporting crude oil at 35% of its exports. And okay, it's exporting sawn wood and rough wood, because Cameroon also has wood. Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next country, which is Central African Republic. There is so much that has been spoken about this particular country. And because of wars and the instabilities in this country, of course, that is created because of the leadership problems and yes, the scramble for power in these regions has brought a lot of things, that there is no security, there's so much insecurity. People don't seem to be so happy with their governments and then insecurity comes in. But let us look at this thing, let us look at the Central African Republic in a wider way, in a different, a very, very different perspective. Let us look at their major exports. So the Central African Republic, however much there are so many things that happen in this country, they actually export delivery trucks. So that means that delivery trucks are manufactured in Central African Republic. They export rough wood at 23%, and they also export vehicle parts. So vehicle parts are manufactured in Central African Republic. These are things that you're not going to hear a lot of bloggers talk about, or most those bloggers that come from Europe and America and other continents. They always try to bring the poor Africa and try to show you how much Africa is lacking and is needing and is wanting your support and what. Of course, that's where they build their audience from, and building people that are going to say, oh no, this is this, oh no, I'm better than this and this. But now I'm showing you something that is happening on the ground, okay? And sometimes these are the reasons why you need to visit some countries before you have a conclusion of what you think about that particular country. Because a lot of things can be spoken about a country, but when you visit that country, maybe your mindset about that country will change. Let's go to Chad. So this is also one of the most beautiful, the country that with one of the most beautiful sceneries in the world, Chad. Look at a place like this, okay? How many places will you go to and find a place like this? This is Chad in the century in Africa. Now, let us look at Chad's economy, and then we see how much Chad exports So Chad also exports 93% of its exports is crude petroleum. Yeah, I think I need to zoom in a bit. 93% of Chad's export is crude petroleum. I hope you can see it very well here. We're looking at Chad, and 93% of Chad's export is crude petroleum. They have, of course, raw cotton. They export raw cotton and gum Arabic, but mostly crude petroleum, and not. It's almost what they only thing that they're exporting. That means Chad is rich in petroleum. It's rich in oil. We are talking about Africa. Now let's go to the next country, which is Comoros. Okay. Now, Comoros. Let us look at their economy. It's also not a very big country. And by 2015, in Comoros, they were exporting 57% cloves, and essential oils at 17%, and vanilla at 16%. Now, some of you think we are exporting poverty or what to your countries and continents and what. That's why sometimes we need to bring out videos like this one to let you know that Africa is something else than what other media outlets try to show you. Africa is big. Africa is better than what they try to show you. Like this video, comment down below, share to your friends in your WhatsApp groups and your Facebook groups, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel so that we can grow together. Yes, so we are continuing with our stream for today. Today we are talking about Africa. We are reviewing all the African countries, and we are looking at their level of richness. Because whenever people talk about Africa, they talk about a very poor Africa. They show you an Africa where you shouldn't pick interest to visit. They always show you Africa where no one should go to. They always show you an Africa where you shouldn't be part of. But today, I want to show you an Africa that is so rich, an Africa that has so rich countries that are so rich in natural resources. They are very rich in a lot of things. Now, let's continue with Comoros. So, okay, Comoros is done. Let's go to the next country, which is Democratic Republic of Congo, the DRC, one of the countries that has very, very many wars almost every single year. So, how rich is DRC? What are their major exports? They export refined copper at 47%. They have cobalt and cobalt ore. That is Democratic Republic of Congo. I'm not talking about any other country. I'm not talking about a country in Europe again. I'm not talking about a country in Asia. I'm talking about a country in Africa. And they're showing you how much these people are exporting. Okay? And you see that the Democratic Republic of Congo is exporting refined copper, is exporting cobalt. Okay? And that is how much this country is. So as you're watching this video, I want you to compare Africa to your own countries, to your own continent. Some of these African countries that you sit there and see, and you don't know what is really happening in these countries, and people tell you there is so much war, people tell you there is so much suffering in these countries, people tell you you can't live in these countries peacefully, people tell you that there is nothing good about these countries and what. So I want you to look at your screens and see how rich these African countries are. We are looking at all the 54 African countries. So this is Congo Republic. What is their major export? I told you I'm just going to be looking at the economy of the country. So the major exports of Congo by 2015 was crude petroleum 69%, refined copper 15%, and rough wood at 4.5%. But I think right now Congo exports more wood than it used to do. So you see this Crude petroleum at 69%. I'm talking about crude petroleum. Refined copper and rough wood. Let's go to the next one. Ivory Coast, which is also called Cote d'Ivoire. What is their major export? We are looking at cocoa beans at 29%, refined petroleum at 8.8%, and cocoa paste. Now, of all the countries that I've reviewed here, there is no country that has no natural mineral, expensive mineral, crude oil, crude petroleum, refined petroleum, gold, copper. You're looking at things like cobalt, and these are all African countries. Let's look at Djibouti. Djibouti is also another good African country that you should look at right now. And let's look at the economy. They export sheep and goats, wood, charcoal, and coffee. So that's what Djibouti exports: sheep, goats, wood, charcoal, and coffee. Let's look at Egypt, one of the most beautiful countries, the country with the most beautiful sceneries in the continent, Africa. Wow, I like this photo. I really love it. Look at this. This is Africa. These are the things that people won't show you. This is Africa. This is not any other place. It's Africa. Okay. Now let's see here. In 2015, Egypt was exporting crude oil, crude petroleum at 16% of their export. Then the refined petroleum at 3.7% of their export, and then insulated wire, but mostly crude petroleum. Okay. Now let's look at Equatorial Guinea. Now Equatorial Guinea is also another not so populated African country, and let's see their economy. By 2015, they were exporting crude oil at 69%, petroleum gas at 23%, and methanol at 3.9%. Yes, Eritrea. Oh, okay. Now, let us see their economy. Copper ore at 90%, precious metal ore at 4.5%, precious stones at 1.3%. Now, I know some of you are asking yourself questions like, if these countries are so rich like this, like you look at Eritrea and say, yeah, it's so rich, why are they not prospering? Why are they not doing that? There is a topic that I want to talk about, and I'm planning a video about it, and I'm going to be explaining how much a lot of people, all the so-called investors in war, the people that invest in war, have killed Africa, and they have successfully managed to do all those bad things to Africa, and they have left it wanting. They have left the African continent wanting to get more and more and more. However much countries like these have that money, they have all those riches, they have all the good things, but because of the bad people, because of the people that invest in war, because of the people that invest in bad things to happen in those countries, you find that these countries are not in any way benefiting from their natural resources. Because if you look at all those countries that I've mentioned above right now, just imagine if they were benefiting from all the things that are in their country, how much will they be getting? How much will be the GDP? How much will they be benefiting it? But as these wars go on in these African countries, there are people that make money. There are people that export a lot of things from Africa, and these things end up benefiting other countries. They end up building other economies. They end up building other factories and companies that are outside Africa, and then Africa continues being seen as a very, very poor continent. And those are the things that we talk about here, and then people come out shouting. Okay, so these are the things that you have to understand. There are people that have invested so much money in war, in Africa, so much money in conflicts in some parts of Asia like that, that even when you talk about, you tell them to end the war, when you talk about the war, when you tell them that this is happening and it's not good, they always want it to continue happening because, of course, they are getting something out of it. Okay, now let us continue with Eritrea. So we talked about Eritrea already and say they export copper ore at 90%, and then precious metal ore, and then precious stones. So let's go and see Ethiopia. Okay, Ethiopia, one of the countries that I am so proud to be part of the same continent with. In 2015, Ethiopia was exporting coffee, refined petroleum, cut flowers, and gold. And gold. Yes, and gold. I love Ethiopia for Ethiopian Airlines. I'm proud. I'm always proud to travel with Ethiopian Airlines. One of the key African airlines that started way a long time ago, and it has been prosperous since. It has progressed at a very good rate, and I really like that. So let's look at Gabon. Gabon is also another not so populated African countries. I think their population is less than 5 million. And in 2015, they had 70% of their exports being crude oil. Oh, and they have also manganese ore and sawn wood, but mostly crude oil. We're going to do it quickly because I want you to know about these African countries. I want to go from A to Z of Africa. Now, let's see the Gambia. The Gambia also is not a very populated country in Africa, and in 2015 they were exporting rough wood, 43%, coconuts, Brazil nuts and cashews at 34%, then ground nut oil at 5.3%. Okay, and now let's go to Ghana. Wow, I know Ghanaians have been waiting for this one. Yes, it's one of the good countries that I really like, and I would want to travel to Ghana very, very soon. So let us look at the Ghana's economy. Gold at 41%, cocoa beans at 19%, crude petroleum at 19%. Gold at 41%. Okay, this is one of the countries in the world, the top exporters of gold in the world. One of the top exporters of gold in the world. It's an African country. It's called Ghana in West Africa. Okay, so change the narrative, change what you think about Africa. There are so many things that you can speak about Africa. There are so many things that you can talk about Africa, more than poverty, more than any other thing. Africa is rebuilding itself. Africa is rich in oil, minerals, and what, and these things can also get views. It's not only the negativity that can get views. And also think about where you're leading the places or the continents to. We are looking at all the African continent. We are looking at all the African countries. We are looking at the economy of all African countries, and we are defining it the way it is supposed to be defined. Not the way it is defined by Western media, but the way it is actually supposed to be defined in general. Okay, now let us look at the next country, which is Guinea. Okay, so Kenya is another African country, and let us look at their economy. Their major export is gold at 38%, aluminium ore at 30%, and crude petroleum at 7.7%. A very rich country. And then Guinea-Bissau. When we look at Guinea-Bissau, What is their economy? I told you I'm going to be looking at the economy mostly because that's where I want us to put our concentration. We're not going to concentrate on the population, on what people talk about it, the GDP and whatever false information is given to you on Google. But I want us to concentrate on what these people have, their riches, their natural minerals, the natural resources that they really have, not just looking at things like, oh, this country is poor, this country, the people are poor, or what. So let us look at Guinea-Bissau and see. So Guinea-Bissau, their major export is coconuts, Brazil nuts, and cashews, and then frozen fish and rough wood. Okay, now how about Kenya, my neighbors? By the way, I'm Ugandan, if you don't know that. I'm Ugandan and Kenya is my neighbor. I've been to Kenya twice, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think I've been to Nairobi twice. Yeah, and I'd love to go back to Nairobi again and again. Nairobi, Kenya is a very, very big city, but also beautiful. Okay, and it has a population right now, it's estimated at the population of 4 million people. And it is a very, very nice city. Okay, so let us see Kenya economy. In 2015, Kenya was exporting 22% of its export was tea. Cut flour was at 12% and refined petroleum at 7.4%. I'm talking about Africa. Okay, now let's see Lesotho. It's also another African country with very beautiful views. Look at this. Look at this. Okay, you need to visit Africa if you haven't been to Africa before. But for those that have been to Africa, you're blessed. Actually, most of people that visit Africa, they change their narrative and their thinking, their perspective about Africa. There is so much that a lot of people don't know about Africa. That's why they are actually misled by the information that Google provides. Of course, that is fed in by other people that want people to think that about Africa. But if you watch videos like this one and you take time to think about the things, and then you also get time to visit Africa, you will know how much Africa is different from what you really watch on TV and read in the media, on social media, and these YouTube videos and everything. So let us look at Lesotho. The economy of Lesotho, in 2016, clothing was 48%. The clothes that was made in Lesotho was 48% exports, and then unworked diamonds. Any country that exports diamond that is not worked is a very rich country, because anything that is not worked is natural. So it means someone is getting that stuff from their own country. They're not buying raw material from other country, but they're getting that stuff from their own country. Okay, so let us go to the next country, Liberia. So Liberia is also another very good country. So sometimes you see that instability problems and what, but it's also another very good country. So let us see Liberia's economy. At by 2015, they were exporting passenger and cargo ships. Passenger and cargo ships. These are things that you're not going to see anywhere. Things that you're not going to see anywhere. Okay? So, passenger and cargo ships. So you should be thinking the next time you sit in a ship that you might be seated in a ship that is manufactured way far in Africa. Some of the places that people come and tell you how poor they are, how much they are poverty infiltrated, and what. So you should be looking at those things like that, not just looking at Africa the way you think it is, but looking at Africa in a way different perspective. Wow.
Myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set the rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you.
Rich in raw tobacco. They export raw tobacco at almost over 55%, and then dried legumes, and then raw sugar at 6.7%. So if they export raw sugar, it means they're exporting like sugar canes and other stuff like that. Okay, Mali. Yes, I like this building. Like, look at the way these people built this place. Yeah, I love to see this place. I'll have to save this photo and get a photo search about this country, about this particular building. Some of the places that are so good to visit. Okay. Now, let us look at Mali's economy. The major exports of Mali is gold at 59% of their exports. They export gold, raw cotton, and other oily seeds. And let's see Mauritania. Okay, so let's see their economy. They export iron ore, copper ore, and mollusks, but iron ore is at 26% of their exports. Mauritius. Let's take a minute. Let's take a minute to look at this. If you don't like this, what do you really like? If you don't like this, what do you really like? This is Africa. This is not Asia. This is nowhere to be found if it's not in Africa. But see how beautiful the place is. See how lovely everything is. Look at the background. Look at the natural environment. How good this place is looking. Okay. Now let's look at this. Mauritius, and let's see the economy. Refined petroleum at 11%, processed fish at 8.9%, broadcasting equipment made in Mauritius. So the next time you're speaking on a microphone like this on a radio station and a broadcast, the next time you're looking at your camera, the next time you're at a radio station and you see broadcasting equipment, just know you may be sitting at things that are manufactured in Mauritius, in Africa. Oh, some people say Mauritius, some people say, so it depends on what you want to pronounce it. So let's go to Morocco. Okay. Yeah, love this. Like this. Okay. So this is Africa. Okay. Now, let's see the economy. Cars at net 10%. The export cars, manufactured cars made in Morocco. And then insulated wire 9.6%. And then phosphoric acid at 6.7%. So Morocco should be a country where people are so much into engineering that they love engineering, because if they're exporting cars and they're exporting insulated wire, so that means they're so much into engineering. Okay. Okay, so how about Mozambique? Mozambique. Every country that I'm going to show you, we shall take a minute and look at their view, the view of their places, and see, because we are not just going to be talking about a country and then you think maybe we are talking about countries that are so ugly, countries that are so much bad places. No, you should know that we are talking about Africa that has countries that are so much beautiful and rich with natural resources. So let us look at Mozambique's economy and what they export most. They have raw aluminium, aluminium bars, and electricity at 7.4%. So Mozambique also sells electricity like Uganda. They have raw aluminium and aluminium bars. So raw aluminium means the natural aluminium is sold or exported from Mozambique to different countries, and then aluminium bars and electricity at 7.4%. Okay. Let's go and see Namibia. Yes, another country that I would like to visit in Africa, Namibia. Okay, so what is Namibia's economy here? Uncut diamonds at 26%. Uncut diamond, so it means it could be already refined, but it's not cut, it's sold in a raw form, so they export that at a very good rate. Then copper ores and concentrates, and then gold at 6.2%. So you see they have diamonds and gold, natural resources. Then Niger. Let's look at the economy of Niger. They export radioactive chemicals at 47%, refined petroleum, uranium, and thorium all at 9%. Africa. Nigeria. I know a lot of you were waiting for this. Where is this place for you, for Nigerian brothers? Where is this place? The National Mosque of Nigeria in Abuja. Oh, okay. So this is a mosque that I should visit. Somebody told me when I go to Nigeria, I should visit Abuja. And of course, that's right. I should visit Lagos and Abuja. The most, I think they're the most known places in Nigeria. There's no way you talk about Nigeria and you can't talk about Lagos and Abuja. Yeah, Lagos and Abuja. There's Benin City, but I think Lagos and Abuja. Initially, I just knew Lagos, but as I continued watching Nigerian movies and seeing their content, I started taking interest in all those places because these people used to talk about them in almost their movies. Like, there's a way Nigerian creators promote Nigeria. They can't create a movie or talk about do some documentaries or do anything without talking about their country. They will always find a way to bring in their continent, rather their cities, their places, their provinces, their districts in their content, and that helps promote the country so much. Okay, so we are still continuing. If you just come here, we are looking at all African countries and we are changing the narrative. At this YouTube channel, what I concentrate at is looking at how I can give you another Africa from the Africa that people show you out there, from the Africa that people talk about. There's an Africa that maybe you don't know, that maybe you haven't ever heard about from any other person. So this time around, I'm giving you all the African countries. That's what we are reviewing in this particular video, and we are looking at how rich they are, comparing them to other continents of America, Europe, and Asia. So we are continuing with the video and we are looking at Nigeria. So let's go. What is Nigeria's main export? By 2015, it was crude oil at 77%, petroleum gas at 15%, and refined petroleum at 1.3%. Now, which country are you going to, okay, how many countries in the world are you going to compare to Nigeria when it comes to natural resources? Nigeria, Libya, some of the countries that are so rich with natural minerals. Okay, so we should change the narrative. We should change the way we think about Africa. We think about African countries, and we should know that Africa is so much rich, more than what we really think. Let's talk about Rwanda. Rwanda is also my neighbor in Uganda. It's one of the countries that is developing at a very fast rate. They have concentrated on marketing their image, their tourism sector. You recently saw they signed a deal with Arsenal, and they started putting their the word "Visit Rwanda" on the Arsenal jerseys, and you see that everything is going on very well. Okay, so let us continue. Rwanda economy in 2015, they were exporting niobium, tantalum, vanadium, and zirconium ore at 16%, exporting tea and refined petroleum. But I want to tell you right now, Rwanda is exporting more than just this. Rwanda's tourism sector has gone so high in the past 5 years, yes, or more than 5 years, almost coming to 7 years. They're manufacturing phones right now. They are assembling cars right now, and they're doing a lot of things right now. So Rwanda is not just something small that you can look at, but it's a very, very, very potential African countries. One of the African countries that has a very big potential. Okay. Now, we have Sao Tome and Principe. Which country is this? Okay. It's an island. Okay. So let us look at it's a country of Sao Tome and the Principe. Okay, let us look at this one. So we have cocoa beans at 62%, coffee and tea extracts at 7%, and chocolate at 3.3%. So the next time you're eating chocolate, just know you could be eating chocolate that it comes from Sao Tome and the Principe in Africa. Senegal, look at this view. Yeah, look out how beautiful this place is. Okay, so Senegal, the economy is 9.6% exporting gold, refined petroleum at 9.4%, and frozen fish at 8.9%. Seychelles Island, or the Seychelles. I want to visit this place. A lot of people talk about this place, and actually some people say it's in the eastern part of Africa. Of course, a lot of people say a lot of things about Seychelles because there's so much misinformation about this particular place, because whenever you search about it, you see that some people give out information that is not so well backed. But this is also another place in Africa. You see that the population is, by 2015 it was less than 97%. So right now I think it has like 100,000 or something like that. So in the Seychelles, they export processed fish at 38.8%, refined petroleum at 23%, and frozen fish. But I think Seychelles also is a home to tourism, so they get so much money in tourism. Okay, so let's see Sierra Leone. Okay, now these people also export diamonds at 22%, iron ore at 21%, and titanium ore at 18%. Okay, now let's go to Somalia. Okay, look at these beautiful African ladies. Africa is a home to a lot of things, so you should visit Africa soon if you haven't visited it yet. Live sheep and goats at 68%, that's their export. Live cattle at 8.8%, and other livestock. So Somalia concentrated on livestock farming. Yes, okay, that's so good. Then let's see South Africa. Oh, I love this photo. South Africa is one of the biggest countries in Africa, one of the most respected and most known countries in Africa, that when you travel, people really know South Africa. Even some people that don't know anything about Africa, at least they know South Africa. So let's see. South Africa economy: gold 11%, diamonds 10%, and platinum 10%. Okay, South Sudan. South Sudan is also another country. A lot of people talk about South Sudan because of war and what, but I think now Sudan is stabilizing and everything is going on very well in the country. By 2016, they were exporting crude petroleum at 99% of their exports. A very, very rich country. If you've just joined us, we are looking at Africa and looking at how rich Africa is compared to other continents and other countries in the world. So please be sure to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, comment down below and put your what you think about this video, and maybe suggest a video that you would like us to talk about next. Maybe there is something that you wanted us to talk about but you feel we haven't talked about it. Don't forget to put it in the comment section below. so that we can talk about it in the next video. Welcome back. If it's your first time here, my name is Shammah Benefits. I upload videos like this one almost every day. On this YouTube channel, we discuss Africa, African development, and all good things about Africa. We don't insult others, we don't quarrel, we don't talk about the criminals and the crimes in Africa. No, we talk about the good things that are happening in Africa and how Africa is being developed and is going forward day by day. So if it's your first time here, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel in case you're interested in topics like this one. Turn on the bell notification and you will be told or reminded whenever I upload a new video. So in this video today, we are reviewing all the African countries, and we are comparing them to other countries in other continents, that is Asia, America, and Europe, and seeing how rich Africa is as compared to the different continents. Okay, so we are looking at South Sudan, and we are seeing how South Sudan by 2016 was exporting crude petroleum at 99%, sesame seeds and flour at 0.5%, and dried peas and chickpeas at 0.2%. Okay, now let's go to the next one, which is Sudan. Of course, some of you mistake South Sudan and Sudan, but it was once a single country called Sudan, and it was divided after some war that happened for some good time, and they were divided into two countries. Then they came Sudan and South Sudan. So let's see. In 2015, Sudan was also exporting crude oil or crude petroleum at 54%, gold at 12%, and live sheep at 9.1%. Swaziland. Okay, so Swaziland also exports odoriferous substances for the food or drink industries, 32%, sugar at 19%, and miscellaneous chemical products at 10%. Okay, Tanzania, another neighbor of mine. This is so beautiful. It's a port, right? Yeah. Okay, so Tanzania's economy, let's look at, they exported gold at 34%, raw tobacco at 7.6%, and cashew nuts at 7.5%. Let's look at Togo. Wow. Just look at this stadium. I really like it and like the view. Okay. So let's look at Togo. Refined petroleum at 17%, and then calcium phosphates at 10%, sesame seeds at 8.7%, and gross domestic product. Oh, sorry, we're not going to look at the GDP. Let's go to the next one. Tunisia. Wow, look at this beautiful place. Look at such a beautiful place. Okay, it's so important. Then, so we have Tunisia at 22% of their exports, their textiles and insulated wire at 11%, pure olive oil at 6%. Uganda, this is my country. Look at this beautiful landscape. Some things that are in Africa, you can't get them from any other part in the world. There are things that are really just in Africa. They are just in Africa, that you won't find them anywhere in any place in the world. Okay, so you should always be lucky so much lucky to be coming from Africa. Like, you travel so much, you go to different places, different countries, different continents. But when you come back to Africa, you know that, yes, I'm back in Africa. Okay? In Africa. So, let us see here. Okay. Batman Thomas, you said, let's stop deluding ourselves comparing America with 300 million people. I think you wanted to mean people, and Africa, a continent of 52 countries and over 1 billion people. Africa is that poor, and until we start being true to. Okay, can you please comment your question about there is so much piggery that always happens to people like you, people that have that poor mindset and poverty affiliated thinking, that you always don't have the time to think about or to watch what a person is talking about. Here we are looking at natural resources and how rich the African continent is when it comes to natural resources. But because you're not ready to listen, you're always ready to come and comment nonsense without following what is really happening in the video. It is so much, that's what we call slavery mentality that is happening, and it is owned by some of African people, that you don't have even the time to watch, you don't have even the time to interpret what you're doing, but you just wake up in the morning and say, oh, you're doing ourselves and comparing yourself to America. Okay? Because you have an American dream, it doesn't mean everyone has the American dream. Yeah, so you should think and interpret things the best way they are supposed to be interpreted. When it comes to natural resources, Africa is the richest continent in the world. You can't compare it to none. So what you're talking about is useless for this particular topic that I'm discussing in this video, unless you think about it in a very totally different way. Okay, so we are looking at Uganda's economy, and we're looking at the major export, which is coffee at 16%, gold at 15%, and cereals at 6%. Western Sahara, okay, just a minute. Okay, then let's look at Western Sahara. We are looking at raw cotton at 80%, fresh melons at 8%, and polystyrene at 6%. Then when we look at Zambia, okay, this is a very good view. Let's look at Zambia. Refined copper at 57%, raw copper at 18%, and raw tobacco at 2.6%. Then Zimbabwe, okay, Zimbabwe gold at 23%, raw tobacco at 13%, and ferrous occurring at 13%. Wow. So I think that was enough for these African countries. I told you I'm going to give you from A to Z, and I gave you all African countries from Algeria to Zimbabwe. And it is so much important to start doing your personal research than relying on the things that you read in the news that most of it is produced by the people that are not part of your continent. They're not feeling what you feel. They don't know how you feel when they produce that particular kind of content. And it's also so important to change your narrative and change your mindset and the way you think about a particular continent, Africa. There's so much things that are supposed to be done in Africa. There are so many poor people, but there are rich people too. Those rich people that are not shown to anywhere in the world. There are bad things that are happening in Africa, but there are good things that are happening in Africa too. The criminal in Africa is the same criminal in America. The rich person in Africa is the same rich person in China. Let us stop putting other countries in some particular category and letting other countries be in other particular categories. There are things that can be done to fix some problems, but the problem in Africa, the poverty problem in Africa, can be the same poverty problem in Japan. Thank you for watching this video. Please make sure to like it, comment down below, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and share with your friends. My name is Shammah Benefits. See you in the next video.